Hey there YouTube, High Mileage Rider here, and as promised we have another bike review. This will be a review of the 2019 KTM Super Adventure S. Absolutely beautiful looking bike. This is going to be Steve's bike that he's letting us borrow for this review. The Super Adventure is a beautiful bike. It's about $23,000 out the door with everything that you see here in Alberta, Canada. Steve has his bike equipped with the KTM TourTech Adventure bags. They are a 45 liter on the left, a 37 on the right, and I believe it's a 32 or 34 liter top case. His bike comes with a side stand, a center stand. It's obviously chain drive. It's a big V-twin, just a beast of a motor. It puts out 160 horsepower and I believe 140 newton meters, which is about 110, 115 foot-pounds of torque. He has put a skid plate on his bike. He has also put on the KTM rad guard. His bike comes with all LED lights, and that means his headlight, turn signals, brake lights. The headlight is a very ingenious design in that it has the high and low beams here, and then on the bottom are the cornering lights that come on depending on how much lean angle you have. His bike comes with hand guards. It also came with a 1-year warranty. He bumped that up to a 5-year warranty, and that is an OEM KTM warranty. Good anywhere in North America or South America. Everything on this bike is electronic. It has 4 computers that run the bike. The gas cap, to pop the gas cap to put gas in, is electronic. Electronic suspension, cruise control, heated grips, drive modes. He even has an enduro mode for going off-road, so it will adjust your traction control, your ABS, you could turn on and off, and it's fully adjustable for whatever you want. This bike has an amazing TFT display. I can't remember if it's a 7 or an 8 inch. You can look that up in the specs with Google. It is also customizable. This is the way he has his setup to show the gear indicator in the top right, your speed, again, the modes that you have chosen, the electronic suspension settings for rider and passenger, or sorry, rider and luggage. It shows that his side stand is down, and then he's got his trip, how much the fuel consumption is, 5.8 liters per 100K, 6,100 kilometers on this bad boy that he just got this summer, battery voltage and fuel range till empty. Of course, it has traction control, as I said, has ABS, has tire pressure monitoring, that's the word I'm looking for, and then again shows neutral. He has a 12-volt plug, and yeah, let's get on the bike and see how she rides. Again, this is a riding review. If you want to look up all of the specs on this bike, then you can do so with Google. The motor on this bike is buttery smooth. As is the transmission. It has a little bit of a clunk as you put it into first gear, which I personally really like. It lets you know that it is in fact in first gear. The shifts are very crisp, very light. Not a lot of effort needed on your toe to shift up. First impressions on this bike is that it's really comfortable. I like the way it's laid out. It's very similar to my Super Tenere, which is a 2019. I am 6 feet tall and I have a 34-inch inseam, and so most of my height is in my legs. So I do find that the distance to the pegs for the driver is just a little bit more cramped than it is on my Super Tenere. Again, not a bad thing. It's just something you would get used to. I do find that it's easy to flat foot this bike. I'm not sure the seat height. You can look that up on the old interwebs. One thing I noticed riding this bike is that it does feel a little bit more cramped than my bike, and not in a bad way, just everything is closer to you. The windshield is closer, the TFT display is closer, and the handlebars are a little bit closer. We always mean to stop somewhere and put our bikes side by side, put the tires against the curb and see whose bike is longer. I don't know if it's a difference in the length of the bikes or just the way everything is laid out. You'll notice that as I'm riding this bike, it says no key in range, and that's because Steve has the key fob in his pocket. I can make that go away by pressing one of the menu buttons. And when I push that menu button, it will open up the full display for me. So at the bottom left, you can see the time, 1:42 p.m., and the outside temperature is approximately 21 degrees. This bike offers really good wind protection, very similar to my Tenere. Even though this windshield is a little bit shorter, the wind coming over the top of the windshield and to my helmet is very laminar. So you do have a bit of noise from the wind, but it is not turbulent and does not buffet my head around at all. It also pushes the wind around my shoulders very nicely, and I think that may be because of this wider portion down here, and then this little inlet on the sides, or indentation. This bike, as I said, comes with cruise control. The cruise control, all that information is on the left stalk. To set it, you push it in, that will turn on your light, and then you push it down, and that sets the cruise control, and it goes green. I tell you, cruise control is a wonderful thing to have on a long-distance touring bike. KTMs are known for their build quality. They are very much a premier brand of bike. And you'll notice that when you look at the fit and finish on this bike, it is second to none. It's a beautiful bike. The one thing that I have noticed with this bike is when you are riding it, it is very, very smooth. I realize that Steve has the electronic suspension set for what he likes, and I'm not going to adjust it for this test ride, but it's a very, very smooth ride. And this is a bike, KTM is known as a manufacturer that makes bikes for off-road. So this bike is first and foremost an absolute beast riding off-road. We have taken our bikes off-road in British Columbia, pothole-filled tree roots, big rocks on the road, and this bike performs beautifully. It has a 19-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear. As I mentioned, it is chain drive. The Pillion accommodations seem quite good. Again, we have not doubled anyone on our adventure touring bikes yet, but it looks like there's lots of room from the reviews that I've seen of other people. They say that it is quite comfortable for a Pillion. All you would want to do is make sure that you purchase a backrest pad for your passenger. As I mentioned, this motor puts out 160 horsepower, so it is known to create a little bit of heat, which is not unusual. It is not unbearable by any means. We don't live in a really, really warm climate, so it's not really an issue for us. But if you live somewhere, say like Texas or Florida, California, then you may notice the heat put out by the motor. Steve gets to ride my Super Tenere today. Looks good on it. So just up here we get on the highway again, and we'll be able to open it up just a little bit and show you what the motor is like, what the exhaust note sounds like. There is a fellow in Germany who took his KTM 1290 Super Adventure onto the Autobahn. And of course there's no speed limit on the Autobahn, so he took the bags off. And he wore a tight-fitting leather jacket, and he got that baby up to 257 kilometers an hour. And I'm sure it did it pretty darn quickly too. So I would think this bike will have more than enough grunt for any riders out there. Now there are people who also take this bike on the track, and I hear it makes a wonderful track bike. It's not obviously a sport bike, so not quite as nimble in the corners. It's got a little higher center of gravity. It's a taller bike, but it will absolutely hold its own and is an absolute joy to ride in the twisties. So here I am in 4th gear, going 87. So in just a sec, I'm going to give it a little bit of gas, and then you can see what the acceleration is like. Oh, sweet mother of all that's holy, son of a bitch. So that's a little bit over the legal posted limit. 4th gear, easy little roll on at 80k, and then suddenly you're going 140 in 4th. So this bike has more than enough oomph to do touring on, to take it on the track. And yet it is supple and has a lot of finesse when you take it off-road because of the electronics. So I hope you enjoyed this ride and review of the KTM 1290 Super Adventure. It's a 2019 and it's the S model. I know Steve really enjoys this bike, and I really want to say thank you for letting me do a ride and review of it. It is an absolutely awesome bike. And if you're in the market for an adventure touring bike, I hope you'll consider looking at this bike. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Anyways, until next time, you keep the rubber side down and your right hand cranked.